Kasparov, can you tell us, Russia in 10 years? I said, 10 years. So what about 5? What about 5 years? What about 5 months?
Yeah.
So we'd like to know what will happen in 10 weeks. No, we want to hear. So, look, anybody, who's just, trying to make a prediction for 10 years from now, should be disregarded as not serious. Because show me one person who could predict 2 years ago, in January 2014, the annexation of Crimea. It probably be.
Yeah, you. Another thing here.
Yes. Yeah, I did it in February, yes, actually,
yeah.
early February, so even just, at the end of Sochi Olympics, yes.
Yeah.
But it's just, and anybody who could say, no, just 2 years ago, that is what we will have, Russia, fighting war with Ukraine, occupying, part of Donbass, Russian planes, bombing Syrian cities. I mean, this person will be kicked out, from serious debate because it will sound so ridiculous. So that's why, you have to understand that, we're living at a time that is just, things are changing so fast. So that's why we don't have luxury of making long-term predictions. So when going back to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, if you look at the map and you take 2 cities, Belgorod and Kharkiv, then of you know the map. So it's about 200 miles, probably less, 150 miles. Belgorod on the Russian side of the border, Kharkiv on the Ukrainian side of the border. We're talking about ethnic Russians on both sides. There was no border in the Soviet Union. The border after 1991 was also quite, quite imaginary. People could go back and forth. So we're talking about same people with the same history, same language, but boys from Belgorod, they are fighting in Putin's invading army. Boys from Kharkiv, they're fighting in the Ukrainian army against the invaders. So that tells you that it's not, it's not automatic. This is not, genetic. This is something about, conditions. And what was the difference with Russia and Ukraine? The fundamental difference, that in 1994, Ukrainian sitting president, Kravchuk, lost elections. Since 1994, Ukrainians sort of got a taste of changing the government through the ballot. It's happened. And, many presidents lost elections there, the governments were changed. So this is the difference. In Russia, it didn't happen. And that was, in my view, that was one of the biggest problems that we're still facing because, there's a very small, very narrow window of opportunity that we had from 91, 92 to 93 was wasted because, we couldn't, Russian people couldn't get, this sense of being empowered by using the ballot to change the government.
What did you say? I mean, this is important before we get to some more current events. As far as what happened, why didn't democracy take root, and what was what you called, I think, a fundamental misconception about what democracy meant to you as a Soviet citizen, even. And you were obviously an exception that you traveled the world, starting as a teen, as a chess player, so you had the opportunity to see what was real and what was propaganda to a degree, and what democracy did and did not do. But for the Russian people on the whole, you could, you talked and you understood, and I think you've said before that there was just a fundamental misunderstanding of what it would mean to their lives.
I think that's one of the reasons that the collapse of communism was relatively painless. So as it didn't, and bloodless. It didn't lead to the same, disasters in Yugoslavia. Though, of course, if you are from, Caucasian region, so Abkhazia, Ossetia, Nagorno-Karabakh, or Transnistria, Moldova, so it was different. But still, considering the size of former Soviet Union, it was relatively common. I think one of the reasons that by the end of the 80s, nobody had any belief in communism. So it was like an empty shell. And people knew that, the communism lost the competition to the free world. So the idea was that, we had to do something else. And by, changing the framework of the state, we could improve our living standards. I think for majority of people in the Soviet Union, probably almost all of us, democracy automatically meant high living standards. So if we could just move from one-party system to multi-party democracy, so then it's the rest is automatic. You go to the ballots, you just you vote, and it could lead you immediately to a better life. And many people did it. And you know, they were very faithful in supporting Yeltsin, even in 1993, in the midst of one of the worst, you know, economic hardships. You know, Yeltsin won the referendum, and even 53%, you know, supported his socio-economic policies. But you know, you can roll once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but I mean, there were no improvements. Actually, for many millions, tens of millions, you know, it turned, you know, exactly.
It got worse.
Things got worse. So that's why I think it was quite a disappointment. You know, it just, and probably, you know, it's even confusion. And then let's not forget, Putin, you know, took over when the oil price went up. Again, only for people who are watching, you know, the sort of the macroeconomic, you know, studies, they know that the highest GDP growth in Russia was the year 2000. Actually, the year 2000, more than 10%. Industrial output grew more than 12%. Of course, it was mainly the result of 1998 financial crash, but still, you know, during the 90s, you know, with this feeble foundation for democracy and some, you know,
reforms.
Yes, yeah, very mild market reforms. Yeah, the foundation was created for market forces to play their role. And in 2001, 2002, 2003, suddenly for many people, you know, just, you know, it was like, wow, you know,
Things are good.
Things are good. And Putin never cancelled elections officially, so that's why, you know, majority believe that that was a form of democracy we were looking for and waiting for. So Putin's first term, actually the second term, you know, from 2000 to 2008, created, you know, Russian middle class, still relatively small in size. Because we're probably talking about, you know, 10 to 15% of the overall population, but, you know, concentrated in big cities, and even the rest of the country could get something. So the standards of consumption in Russia, they were higher than at any time before. Okay, we know it because oil prices jumped from $10 in 1998 to nearly $150 in 2007. But if you ordinary citizen in Moscow, St. Petersburg, you know, Yekaterinburg, Novosibirsk, you shouldn't care. So this is, you could see that it's an improvement, and that's how Putin, you know, gained his credit that he's almost wasted this today, but it helped him to stay afloat for so long.